faith of a mustard seed. Get up on your feet, rise up.
Welcome to another episode of the Draxwell Seymour Show. I think it's been a while now. I've been trying to get this young man on my show. He's finally on the show. This is a young man I'm very proud of. He graduated from Harvard University with a master's degree. But I'm also proud of him, not just because he went to Harvard. He was raised, by a single mom. And sometimes, there's so much stigma associated with children raised by, single parents. But this young man is a prime example of it's just a stigma. It's not true. And I know, we talk about Harvard, and I know a lot of people say, well, it shouldn't matter where you go and stuff like that. Of course, I understand that. Important thing is people, get what they want to do and go to the college they want to do. But the fact that he went to Harvard University, number one university in the world, I think speaks volumes. And I am so proud, not only because he went to Harvard, because he's also a Turks and Caicos Islander. I know he's probably was born in the U.S., but he's a Turks and Caicos Islander. And with that said, I want to welcome Mr. Joshua Williams to the show.
Hello, Mr. Seymour. Thank you for having me. I'm really happy to finally be here.
Yes, finally. Well, Joshua, tell us a little about yourself.
Sure.
You grew up and all that stuff.
Sure thing. So I started my years in the Great Island of Grand Church. That's where my family is originally from.
Mm-hmm.
Attended in Newman's Preparatory School there at the time, transferred over to Providenciales, and completed my primary education at Precious Treasures.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
Yes. After that, I went over to the TCI Middle School to begin high school, and then transferred over to the Collegiate, where I graduated in year 11.
Okay. I remember that Precious Treasures because I remember Precious Treasures always have this parents cheerleading.
Yes, you and my mom.
And your mom and I were cheerleaders. It's like, I would remember that.
I remember those as well. Those were good times, weren't they?
It was.
They were.
Excellent times. And a lot of interaction with the children. And,
yes.
Very good support from parents,
Yes, and I think that's definitely important, for sure. It was good to see.
Yeah.
But after that, I worked a bit and kind of went to school at the same time online at a local law firm here.
Okay.
Left just before the second semester to go into school full-time at St. Leo University over in Tampa, Florida. I graduated there with a bachelor's degree in marketing, and that was in 2020.
2020. Oh, a year of the pandemic.
Yes. I came home for spring break for a week and never went back.
Okay.
So after that, I enrolled into Harvard in fall of 2020 and then graduated there with a master's degree in management in May of 2022.
Just management?
Yes.
Okay.
Specialized in finance and strategic management.
Oh, okay.
Yes, sir.
So let's talk about this now. So how did you end up getting to Harvard? I mean, what was the process? Because I'm quite sure when I go into Google and I read about the acceptance rate in Harvard is very, very low.
Yes.
Tell us what you think you made you successful in getting into Harvard.
Sure. So it's kind of a funny story how it all happened.
Mm-hmm.
I was not supposed to be going there. Honestly speaking, I had gotten into a MBA program somewhere in Florida. Everything was squared away and I was sorted. And the Harvard thing was something that my mom had always thought about and kind of pushed for me to do. It was just something that I was like, I can't deal with this. Like, this is not something that I think I can pull off. At least not right now at such a young age.
Mm-hmm. You mean getting accepted or?
Yeah, honestly speaking, because I was like, I know that I have I got a pretty good resume, things like that. But, you always hear things like you said, when you Google it, it's like they're so competitive, so selective. I think it was one night I was looking around and I just started looking into it to see what it was like. I contacted one of the enrollment counselors and spoke to her. And, she seemed to be pretty impressed with everything. She started calling back and we kind of, exchanged information and everything like that. And that's how it happened. Submitted an application, got in, and got enrolled.
But then you have to also do, is it GMAT?
Yeah, GRE.
No, GRE or GMAT for the masters?
You can do either.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
And so you have to do that.
Yeah, it's a long process. I think Standardized test was probably my most
Challenging?
most troubling time.
I don't like it. I don't like
Yeah,
it.
you know, like simply because it for me, some of the work that they had on the test was stuff that I had done like many years ago. And I was just trying to do so many things at the same time. And as I said, it was a last minute thing that I put a lot of pressure on myself to try to cram a couple months worth of work into a few weeks to a month and to try to pull it off. I'm just grateful that it all worked out.
So did you go through some special classes to prepare for the GRE?
I definitely did. I'm a big believer in, spending whatever you have to spend in order to get what you want to get, especially academically. So I got a tutor. I enrolled into online courses designed to kind of get me where I want to be in a short amount of time.
Awesome, awesome. I like one day to do my PhD, and I'm thinking I'm gonna apply to Harvard. So you inspire me. You
Yes.
inspire me. I'm gonna apply to Harvard.
Definitely. I think
Yeah.
you would be a shoe-in, your experience,
Yeah.
the things that you do in the community. You got this.
Yeah. So tell us about your experience, your 2 years there. What was it like in terms of the study habits, social life? What was it like at Harvard?
I will say that it was one of the most challenging, but
Yeah.
not academically,
Okay.
but mentally and enjoyable experiences that I've had so far.
Better than the Leo University experience?
I don't like to
compare?
to compare it.
Oh,
Yes.
okay,
So we'll just say
okay.
that they were good in their own ways.
True, true.
I would say that it was challenging mentally simply because you are forced to come up to par, and people will throw things at you. People will bring really different, wild, and interesting ideas to the classroom. And, you're forced to really change the way that you think to kind of bring yourself up to par with these individuals and ensure that you can really compete. Well, maybe not compete, but just to be able to engage properly. So it was great in that aspect, which that is something that I really enjoyed. The classes were quite mixed. Had a few people with a lot of years of experience and people like myself that didn't have much work experience. I would say socially it was also quite good. Everyone seems to be very active. I would say from the students straight up to the alumni, everyone's quite active and they encourage you to use the school's resources and to make sure that you're doing everything that you can to graduate with a job in the field that you want. I would say even after graduating, they invited me over into a Harvard club over in New York where alumni get to meet up whenever they want and they hold talks, networking events just to kind of ensure that you're getting everything that comes with the Harvard
The
name.
benefits, awesome. So did you spend the 2 years on campus? I know that was around pandemic. Did you say you went in 2020?
Yes, I did. Unfortunately, I didn't really get to spend as much time as I would like to on the campus. As you said, everything was kind of closed down during the time. But what I will say is I definitely made the most of what I could have both online and on the campus.
So the last year is probably on campus.
A bit of it.
A bit of it. Oh, okay, okay. So how do you feel being a Harvard graduate?
I think, it's really good. I would say I feel very proud to be able to say that I've done it. Like we were discussing before, I'm raised in a single family home, and just being from a small island, you don't really see this kind of thing.
No.
You know what I mean? And one could even say I'm not supposed to really be in this position. Truly, it's by the grace of God. I will say.
Absolutely.
It's definitely good. It encourages a lot of people to really rely or kind of pull you into really complex situations sometimes, simply because they believe that, the Harvard pedigree carries and you're able to take on so many different things. But again, that's something that I enjoy. The challenge that comes with all of this is quite good.
Very good. And how old are you, Joshua?
I just turned 23.
Oh, wow.
February.
Very good, very good. So after you graduate your master's degree in management and strategic planning?
Management, just specialized in strategic management and finance.
Finance. Was it easy getting a job with the Harvard? Because the Harvard thing seems to be in itself a big deal. I mean, so was it easy getting a job?
I will say, leading up to graduation, I was trying to look, and my mom always said to me that sometimes I can kind of dumb my credentials or just my accomplishments down. So I started applying to different jobs that in my mind I was like, I'm sure they'll accept, and it was taking a while. And I did a
Okay.
lot of research, and I realized they probably think that like I don't really want to work there. The minute I started applying to, the more advanced positions and things of that sort, that's when I saw a lot of people
Of
coming back.
interest.
Once I graduated, moved away to New York officially, and like updated LinkedIn and everything, things started piling in. I will say,
So she graduated in May.
yes.
When did you start your first job? When you started your job?
I started it. I want to say a little bit before then, like right before then.
Before graduation.
Yes.
Oh.
I moved over. Classes were essentially finished. I moved over to New York, and I started then.
Okay, so do you mind sharing with us what you do?
Oh, sure thing. So I am working in the executive risk department of a commercial insurance firm. We essentially specialize in assisting directors and officers and things of that sort with getting everything sorted with any kind of claims or anything that come up. My day to day is more, gladly enough, I get to deal with a lot of external counsel, opposing counsels, things like that, with whatever lawsuits are going on. So it's quite a interesting field, I would say.
Okay. So you must be pretty occupied all day then.
Yes, I will say so. Although I will say, like your question right before, I think that a part of like the work that they put on me and the way that I'm treated in the firm, I will have to admit, is probably a bit to do with my credentials.
Okay.
Yeah, because I would say like the minute that I thought about like, maybe shifting somewhere else, I was thrown like a really good package that I couldn't say no to.
Oh no, it takes.
Right.
Yeah,
And we know.
Yeah, take the experience. Take the experience.
Right.
So what is it like living in New York City? Now, even though I'm from the Foyans, even though I'm from the islands,
Right.
I will admit this. Some people may not know this, but I love big cities.
Really?
I love big cities. I love the Turks and Caicos, of course.
Right.
But I love big cities. I could live in London for a few years. I could live in New York City for a few years. I mean, I won't live there forever because my heart's in Turks and Caicos.
So that's good.
But I would love to tell us about what it is living in New York City.
It's really fun. It's an experience. It's enjoyable. I think it's what you make it. I will say it's really helped me to grow as a person and grow into who I am, what I like, what I don't like. It's helped me professionally. There are numerous opportunities to get connected with some really great individuals. And I think it just kind of pushes you to really accelerate yourself and to challenge yourself to see where you can end up.
Okay, awesome. Do you think you'll one day return to the Turks and Caicos?
I think, like I said, God see fit. I follow God and, his footsteps for me. So if that happens, then sure. But, I always, like I said, I had a few reservations about it because it's such a weird situation, this returning home thing. I've seen a lot of effort to get it done, but I haven't seen. Have you figured out why people are leaving? Do you know what I mean? Like has there been a national data collection thing going on? Because it kind of seems like we're kind of doing many programs, but we're not sure if this is hitting the target.
Well, I don't know how many people are leaving, right? I know people are leaving, but many people are also returning.
Right. Well, that's good.
I think, personally, I think we've changed the narrative.
Yeah.
That all these people are leaving. I saw one person mention thousands of people are leaving.
Really?
I saw someone say half of the voting list is in the UK, and those statements are inaccurate.
Right.
And I believe sometimes that becomes the narrative, and sometimes it's not true. There are definitely people leaving, but I also think that's what we focus so much on. There are also people returning.
Yes.
I mean, I interviewed recently some young ladies that returned home. At first, some of them had no intention, but they're home, and they're glad they're home.
Yeah.
So people will always leave. I mean, this is nothing new. The opportunities are in the UK. You can get your education the same rate as a citizen, and so people will. I would encourage people to get their education, and of course, if they want to get the experience, up to them. But people always leave. And now and then again, the world is a small world anyway. Look at things as a global. I think as long as people remember who they're from, where they're from, don't forget that you are Turks and Caicos Islander.
Right.
And I think and just spread the word about your country and represent us wherever you go.
Yes.
I
definitely agree, and I will say, whenever anyone asks where I'm from, the Turks and Caicos Islands is usually the first answer that I give them. I think I've seen a lot of younger people interested in leaving, but I do think that eventually they will come back. You know,
I
like,
believe so.
like you said, there's no place like home.
Mhm.
You know, so it's inevitable.
Yeah.
They'll return.
Tell us about growing up in a single parent. If you don't mind, we touch that. Because I mentioned opening introduction, and you mentioned it earlier.
Yes, sir.
I mean, I know your mom. I know your mom really well, and I know she's very proud of you. And I remember when she made the announcement on Facebook. I didn't know you was at Harvard.
Yeah. No one knew.
I didn't know you were there.
No one, no family, no friends.
Yeah, and that was, I was happy, but I was surprised because I didn't know,
Right.
because we were really close. But your mom, I know, is very proud of you. Your whole family is. But tell us about what it was like growing up in a single parent home.
Sure. So, I will say, it was not easy, I will say. If you wanted something, you had to work for it. That's something that was not even an external thing. It was an internal thing. I could not get any type of gifts or go to any certain place that I wanted to go to unless I brought the grades home to my mom. I will say I don't know how she did it, but she made it work for sure.
That's good.
I can even say, like, I didn't even know the extent of, like, what she had to do to get me here until many years after, like, recently, when she started speaking about what she had to sacrifice.
Mhm.
But, you didn't really get everything that you wanted, but you had everything that you needed, which I'm grateful for.
I like that answer. And you have a sibling. Yes, your mom has 2 children, right?
Yes. I have a younger sister.
So she must look up to you.
She doesn't want to admit it, but we know she does. She doesn't want to admit it, but we know. We know. And, she's doing well as well. She's going into university. She's challenging me in some of the grades that I got, because she did a statistics class recently and she scored higher than me.
Oh.
So she's coming for, I guess you can say, my crown right now.
Okay.
As the academic kid.
Well, she got to apply to Harvard too, then.
She just might. She seems to be aiming for that.
Okay. So your first degree is it Leo University?
Yes, St. Leo University.
St. Leo. What was your first degree in?
It was in marketing.
In marketing. So for people watching the show who wants to get into Harvard or any Ivy League school, did you have to have like 4.0 or not necessarily?
So I can say I didn't, but I can say it was a pretty good GPA. I think what can help was, for me at least, kind of, first of all, determination. I prayed a lot about all of my decisions. I was also quite active in the community. And I think that's what helped. Like, when I was in St. Leo University, I was assisting with chairing, like, efforts to help the Bahamas with Hurricane Dorian. I was working with students, bringing people onto the campus to speak to them about, building resumes and things like that, getting engaged in clubs, student government, the Student Government Association and things like that. And I think that helps me for sure.
It does help a lot. The community involvement helps a lot.
For sure.
It definitely has. And I know some people might be discouraged because they don't have all A's, but you could still apply even without all A's.
I say so. I think all these schools, they stress that they really look at an application holistically.
Mm-hmm.
So I think even if you can't get the grades that you think you should get, once you work on the other parts of your application, you should be set.
Yeah. Was it a vigorous process? I mean, for the application, you had to do, I guess, essay and all that stuff, right?
Yes, it was. Honestly speaking, I think it was not as bad as it could have been.
Oh, okay.
Because I had everything already sorted out since I was going into the MBA programs.
Okay.
So the letters of recommendations and the essays and everything like that were already done.
Mm-hmm. That's very good. I know a lot of schools too, because I remember when I graduated, it was a long time ago. I graduated in 89. And I was looking to Harvard, but I didn't because I think it was asking for work experience to get into the MBA program. And so I'm glad that you was able to get it, because I know a lot of these schools, but you don't do the MBA, you get the master's in
management. Yeah,
but I know a lot of them, especially MBA, they always look for work experience. But that's fine. So now you're a Harvard alumni. You're working in New York City. What are your next plans?
So, I can say this. I am currently sitting on a pretty good career opportunity, but I'm also currently sitting on a very good academic opportunity. So these next few months will be me trying to kind of figure out what I want to do for my next move and where I want to see myself within the next 10, 15 years.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Well, it's very, very. I've never spoken to who graduated from Harvard. I did speak to the young lady. I can't remember her name. Oh my gosh! I interviewed her. She's at Harvard now.
Nice.
She was at Hetman is her last name.
Oh, I think I heard.
Yeah,
about
she's
it.
a graduate British Collegiate.
Yes.
I think she's doing, I think, some science course at,
Nice.
yeah. But I do have a friend who who grew up with me. My grandmother brought her up.
Okay.
Her son just graduated from Harvard
Right.
in law degree.
Nice.
Yeah, so he has a job in New York City as well. Yeah. And I think there's another young lady I remember posted at the same time I shared your post, someone else posted, who has their master's degree in finance from Harvard, who's from Turks as well.
Okay,
You're the first person who I'm speaking who graduated from Harvard, so I feel on it. I feel on it.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Do you have any closing remarks you want to share with anyone, our listeners?
I will say that there's never a time to give up. I have always gone by the mantra of where there's a will, there's a way. Get a very good support system, because I think the reason why I'm here and I got a good reputation, nothing too wild, is because I had such a strong support system where even at school, if I was like slacking on work or like they saw me playing around at lunchtime, someone would come and be like, get yourself together.
Awesome.
And that's important.
Awesome.
Also, never count yourself out. Don't say no to things before you give yourself a chance. Let them say no to you.
Love it. Well, Joshua, thank you very much for this opportunity. For those of you who are watching the show, you'll be listening to the Drexel Cinema Show with my special guest, Joshua, who graduated from Harvard University with his master's degree, has this great job in New York City, and more importantly, he's from the Turks and Caicos Islands. Let me tell you something, we are doing great stuff here in the Turks and Caicos Islands. I know a lot of times we talk about young men, just getting too much trouble, and you hear so much negative reports about the young man. But here's this young man, such a positive story, and you too can be inspired. I'm already inspired. I think I'm going to go work on my application for my PhD at Harvard University.
There we go.
Because this guy is inspiring me,
There we go.
And so I hope you are inspired. And I'm encouraging you to do community work. I think that's a lot of things that a lot of us lack. We're not involved in the community. I go by the football, soccer, where my kids go, and there's so many volunteers there. Get involved in the community. Yes, get your good grades, but also get involved in the community and never give up. If you want to go to Ivy League school, whatever you want to do, don't give up. It's there waiting for you, just waiting on your application. So with that said, thank you for watching the Drexel Cinema Show, and please remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel.